So you want the banjo to be sitting nice and upright in your lap. And when I say upright, what I mean is a lot of people have a tendency to kind of slouch when they play, and then this is what happens. The banjo kind of starts to slip this way. That's not going to be too conducive for good playing. So what you want to do is you want to make sure the banjo sits in your lap like this. You'll notice it's upright. It's not, the head isn't starting to face the ceiling. The head is facing the wall right in front of me. Okay? So you have it like this, right? A lot of times people might play open back banjos where the banjo doesn't have as strong a center of gravity as this banjo does. This banjo is really heavy because it has a pot. So because it's really heavy, I can let go of it and the neck won't fall. See that? But if you're playing an open back banjo, if you don't have your left hand here and you're not pulling the banjo into your torso with your right hand, the neck does this. Okay? So what we want to do is, if you're playing with a banjo like that, here's what we want to consider. Okay? A lot of times people who are playing banjos that do tend to, whose necks tend to fall like that, they feel as if in addition to fretting the banjo, they've got to actually keep it upright with their left hand. Well, naturally, when you want to grab onto something and keep it steady, you tend to grab it like this. You tend to grab it with the palm right against it. If your palm is right against the back of the neck, it's going to really inhibit your ability to fret and your ability to reach. Okay? Watch, my palm's here. If my palm's here, what happens is my fingers are kind of chained now to the banjo fretboard. I can't do much with them. Watch this. If I were to use my thumb here as a buffer, moving my palm away, it's actually going away from the back of the banjo neck. And now it's kind of under the banjo neck, right? And my thumb is the only thing in contact. What happens is, look at my fingers, look what happens. Going from this position, bad position, watch this. I take my palm away, I put my thumb there, roll my wrist out a little bit. See how my wrist is rolling out? And actually your wrist will roll out even more if you bring the banjo neck closer to your face, because what happens is, just naturally, your elbow tends to go out and then your wrist will go out subsequently. So when you're playing with your wrist here as opposed to pinned back here, you have this nice arch to all your fingers. Notice that? See that? If my hand is like this, pinned against the back of the neck, I don't have hardly any arch at all. And that's another reason why you want to avoid this position, because when your fingers don't have arches to them when you're fretting, you tend to hit other strings and mute those strings. Let's say we're playing a D7 chord, right? Here's a D7 chord. If I'm playing it like this with my palm against the back of the neck, what happens to this finger, watch this. Good position, bad position. You notice when I went to this position, this index finger kind of collapsed. So what he's doing now is he's touching the open first string. So instead of having a nice clear, it's going to sound like this. Right? So you want to really, really be vigilant about keeping your palm away from the back of the neck. When I play, really the only thing that touches anything approaching the back of the neck is a little bit of the webbing from like the end of my index finger to my thumb, the webbing right in there. That might touch it. But still, I have this nice arch. You see this nice arch? It's not like this because my palm is not against the back of the neck. My wrist is down here because my thumb is the only thing in contact with the back of the neck. My wrist is down here, it's rolled out a little bit, and if I want to roll it out a little more, I bring the neck closer to my face. And actually when I play, I usually play with the neck fairly close to my face so that I can keep my wrist out here. That way you have nice arches to your fingers so they won't be touching and muting other strings, and you have better reach. Remember, you have almost no reach when your hand is like this. Your fingers are kind of pinned to the fretboard. Okay? So that's what we want to remember when we're fretting. You don't want to hold the neck like this. You want to hold it with the thumb against the back of the neck, your wrist down and a little out, the neck a little close to your face so that you have this nice arch to your fingers when you do fret, and you have good reach. So remember I told you about those open back banjos with the low center of gravity. If you feel you have to keep the neck up, don't have this temptation to try to keep it up here. What you can do is pull the banjo with your right hand against your torso. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm pushing it against my torso with my arm. Okay, so if you do that with an open back banjo, guarantee you those necks will stay up. Okay, so all you need to do is apply a little pressure here with this hand. That way, this hand doesn't resort to gripping that neck. So here's what that would look like when you're actually picking. Now you notice I just have my thumb against the back of the banjo. I'm not doing this, right? It's just my thumb. I have this nice arch to all my fretting fingers. The neck is fairly close to my face, which forces me to roll my wrist out a little more, so I have a little more arch. The banjo is nice and upright in my lap with the head facing the wall. And I'm pulling the head of the banjo, I'm pulling the pot, the resonator, against my torso. I'm pushing it against my torso with my arm. And that's how we hold the banjo.